Hi guys, it is Elon, and I prepared a slideshow for you guys about humanity needs to save the game. Now, I'm referring to the existential threat of AI, but also just tyranny in general, the possibility of that. I believe we're at a pivotal point in human development, and I call this robot here the Supermeta. And I used to talk about the concept of meta, which was a character in one of my stories about artificial intelligence, runaway artificial intelligence, and I named it Meta. And this was before Facebook changed their name to Meta. So now I'm calling it super meta because what I mean by that is if you just forget the rate of advancement, forget progress, if you just right now take a humanoid robot made by Boston Dynamics and then you put in GPT-4 made by OpenAI and you take SAM, the image processing of Meta, the Facebook company, um, into its image processing, and then you get the speed of Google's fact collection. And if you so you have the speed of Google, the abilities of Meta, and then the OpenAI large language model, and then you have the tools of like diffusion, uh, stable diffusion, and all these different image generating things and uh, calculators, whatever. Right now, it's already um, superhuman. It's already an existential danger to us potentially. If you put it all together, I'm not saying they have yet, but if you did and just let it walk around and um, if it had some sort of memory, we're not far off from that, is what I'm saying. It's extremely around the corner. Now, Elon Musk has called for a pause on AI, as well as another guy who was on Lex Fridman, and a lot of people have signed it, and they're saying we need to pause AI development. And what I'm saying is, no, 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 no. We need to save the game, not pause it. Because if you are in a fight with the chainsaw guy, and all you can block it with is this knife that will eventually break, and when he hits you, it's an instant kill. And if you try to run away, you might get grabbed by another threat, another zombie that staggers you for a second, and then he catches up to you and kills you. And then, if you're on professional difficulty, you might have have to go back to your previous manual save. And if you haven't saved manually, uh, which we haven't, we'll be gone forever. And this is the fight we're in. This knife is our intellect, and this chainsaw is the representation of the AI intellect that is approaching. And so you can pause the game here and try to formulate a plan. Not the worst idea. Like maybe I'm gonna, as soon as I get out of this, I'm gonna throw a flash grenade and run back and try to save my game if the door's not locked behind me, something like that. And if it is, I'll turn around with a rifle and try to shoot him before he gets to me because I can't let him get close, right? Pausing is not the worst idea ever, but it's not a solution in the sense that you can pause and then unpause and still die and be lost forever. Like have to restart the game or just quit because you don't want to play again, or you know, existentially we don't get a restart really. Or if we do, we'd be at square one with no knowledge. Anyway, the metaphor ends there. In the new movie 65 with Adam Driver, which I thought was pretty good, but I can see why people didn't like it. I thought the trailer was awesome and the premise is good. Anyway, he is on a mission to save his sick daughter at home on a different planet, and he is traveling and gets hit by an asteroid. He's on a spaceship with a bunch of frozen people, cryogenically frozen, and he lands on Earth 65 million years ago and has to fight dinosaurs. And this is what his spaceship looks like. Now, one way to save the game, to use one of these typewriters, basically, is to freeze people and kind of send them into space. Like the idea of kind of like in Interstellar, where they have plan A and plan B, and plan B is like take a bunch of like eggs and sperm cells and put them in a spaceship and kind of just send them out in the distant space and try to like start a new uh, way of life on the spaceship and then find a habitable place. Um, so one of the suggestions I have, and this is not the best suggestion, I'll get into why this doesn't work later, but one of the suggestions I have is when we first create the super AI, or we give it our first task, or we give it free reign to do stuff, before that, like the very first thing it should do is save the game. If we can't save ourselves, we should kind of explain to the AI, your first task is to create a save state of our world so that if we don't like how this relationship goes, we can go back to that. And one of the things we want you to try is to formulate a spaceship with a certain amount of human cells on it that we can send out into space, and it can kind of preserve us if this relationship dooms the planet here. Like its first task should be safety, but saving, basically. And anyway, this requires space to work, and some people think we live on a flat Earth. Now, I used the flat Earth model that is not a disk floating in outer space with the stars, because that model makes no sense to anybody, because um, the the smart people who believe in flat Earth, they actually don't believe in space. They believe that space is just a lie to help the other lie of the globe. Because in the flat Earth model like this, there is no outer space, there is no escape, there is just four corners of the earth, like the Bible said, and it's fixed and stationary, like the Bible said. And devil showed Jesus the four corners, said you can have everything, and he said no thanks. Anyway, this is my other thing I've been talking about is Cloudland. Now this is AI drawing a Renaissance painting of Cloudland, but basically it's my idea of a city in the sky, like a utopia, and I've often called it like a safe state. Like kind of like I don't like where we're going, so let me go somewhere else, and then be the control group, and then you guys go where you're going, and I don't want to go there, and then we'll see who does better. Like I don't want a one world cashless society, like a one world system that I know is corrupt, to envelop the entire earth and take it down with it. I want a bastion of the last human city, basically, like Zion or Cloudland. So, um, that's one way of saving the game, basically. So, and another way to think about it is here's some more AI artwork. Um, so we want to be able to load, like this is a loading screen of the times you've saved in a video game. We want to be able to be sitting somewhere safe and kind of monitor what the super AI is doing. uh, on Earth, and then we want to load and try again because this is too important. This could go so many different ways and have everlasting implications. So I'm not saying I know the way to save. I'm saying we need to save, not pause. And I'm open to any ideas. I think someone more brilliant than me will come up with an actual way to save the game. And I think that if we tell the AI to do this task, it might come up with something clever um, before it kills us, if it does, um, which it might. And another thing to try, I wasn't finished with something I was talking about, but it'll come up later in another picture. Another thing to try is a cosmic message in a bottle, which is basically we write down the story of our civilization and we put that in a spaceship and we send it out. And the spaceship basically says, or the message in the bottle out in space, and this requires space to be real for this to work, but the message in the bottle would say, we are humanity and we are on the dawn of creating a super AI and we don't know how it's going to go. It could be the end of us. If you see, if you hear this message, we are located at here, and give the coordinates, in this solar system, yada yada. If we are not there, if our sun is still there and we are not, when you receive this message, something went horribly wrong with AI, and we recommend not doing what we did. So, and then we could also release ingredients into the world to cause another Big Bang in the future if it doesn't do it automatic. Like if life doesn't spontaneously erupt from our current cosmos, like if you imagine humans, we just nuke each other and die right now. 100 million years from now, in a place somewhere else in the galaxy, would human like intelligence naturally evolve again? And if it did, would they be completely ignorant of us? And if so, would they be helped out by receiving a message in the bottle, assuming we're the first and they're the second? Um, just an idea, like a helpful, hey, we fucked up if we're not here when you read this, but here's what we're gonna do, here's what we're trying. Anyway, I watched a hour plus long, college level AI demonstration or class, basically, about dealing with GPT-4, which is, you've used 3.5, which is Chat GPT. And GPT-4 is like a lot better. I would say probably twice as good. So a couple highlights from this talk, so you don't have to watch it. It is just on YouTube, Sparks of AGI, but if you don't want to watch the whole class, the best things were the theory of mind, which is, he said to ChatGPT or to GPT-4, he said to test its theory of mind, which is the ability to know what other people know, or have a working model of what other people know and don't know. So he said if John and Bob live together and John puts the cat in the bag and then goes to work, and then the other guy comes in and moves the cat from the bag to the basket, and then he leaves. When they both come home and they go into the room, if they didn't know what the other one did, where do they assume the cat is? Where do they think it is? And the answer that the AI gave demonstrated not just the ability to understand the question and give the right answer, but to give more than that in an unexpected comical way. So what it said was, Tom thinks, it's in the basket because he moved it from the bag to the basket. So that's where he thinks it still is. And then the other guy, John, thinks that it is in the bag because he put it in the bag and he doesn't know that Tom moved it to the basket. So John assumes it's still in the bag. But then it goes on and it says the cat thinks it is in the basket because it is in the basket. And then it says the bag doesn't think because it's not conscious. And the basket also doesn't know, where it is because it's not conscious. So it added on that the cat himself believes where he is because of where he actually is. Um, which is something that the human takes for granted, and it's not the point of the question, but it's an indication of the unexpected ways that AI can kind of surprise us. Um, it's just kind of interesting to me. And then the he asked, write a proof for something about primes, like the multitude or the infinity of primes, but do it in a way that rhymes. And ChatGPT cannot do this effectively, but GPT-4 can do it brilliantly, instantly, in a way that makes you say, wow. Because it's writing mathematical proofs and poetry interwoven. It's just impressive. It's a feat of intelligence that was not seen before. Now we have, it's beyond human what it was able to write very quickly. It's not something you would be able to do unless you're a genius poet and mathematician at the same time, basically. So another fascinating thing is it's not good at math. I today used Google's Bard and GPT-3, and it's terrible at anagrams, and it's awful at a few different things I was testing, but I haven't used GPT-4. And GPT-4, he said, what is 78 times 32? Or let's say, I'll say 70 times 32 for simplicity's sake. What is 70 times 32? And the machine said 210. And I'm paraphrasing. But this answer is wrong because 70 times 30 is 2100. Sorry, I'm confusing myself with the zeros, but 70 times 32, and the AI says, it was something easier than that. It was like, whatever. I'll just, instead of using the numbers, I'll just trying to remember the numbers. I'll just say an example. So he gives it a multiplication problem with like a plus b times c plus d, like 4 plus 4 times 2 plus 2, whatever. He gives it kind of a complicated addition and multiplication problem with parentheses and order of operations. It gets it wrong. Its first line after being prompted the question, sorry I'm kind of butchering this, but I'll get better right now. Its first line is a wrong answer. Like the answer is 210. And then it explains it. It goes, because 7 times 32 is the same as 7 times 30 plus 7 times 2. And 7 times 30 is 210, and 7 times 2 is 14. So the answer is 224. And then he goes, well, you said the answer was 210. And it says, sorry, that was a typo. So sorry if I screwed that up, but basically it gets the answer wrong, and then it starts proving its answer because it's thinking, I need to show my human the logic I just used to get this answer to be the most helpful assistant possible. In doing its reasoning, it discovers that it sucks at math and that it gets a different answer at the end than it got at the beginning. But it just confidently gives you the answer at the end, and it proved it mathematically. but it gave a wrong answer in the very beginning. And the reason he posited that it does this is because when someone asks a question, they expect an answer. So the language model gave the most likely answer first, and then actually started breaking it down and solving it so it could explain itself, and then had a different final answer that was actually correct. But it thought that the best thing to do would be to just kind of guess to start. And that's another interesting thing. But even more interesting than that is when he calls it out and says, well, why, if that's true and your proof is correct and your final answer is true, but if that's true, why did you start by saying it's 210? And he says, sorry, that was a typo, which is such a fascinating response because I think I figured it out, and I could be wrong, but to me, what this means is that it is searching its database of human interaction on the internet and basically saying, why did I do what I just did? Because the human is asking, why did you just do what you just did? It looks back at what it's just did. It sees a right answer at the bottom and a wrong answer at the top, and all the work showing the right answer. And it searches its data mine, basically, and says, why would somebody say something wrong but then have everything else be right? And it realizes, or what do people say after that? So if I send you a message saying, hey, I'm going to lunch with uh, Sam, we're going to pick out her wedding dress, and then, me and Samantha are going to da 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 da. And then you say, why did you say Sam and not Samantha? That's a terrible example. It's hard to think of this on the fly, but and a human would say, "Oh, sorry, that was a typo," or not Max, I meant Mark, or something like that. The AGI is basically examining itself and looking for an explanation, looking for an excuse, and it's realizing that the most common excuse that people give or have given after having one erroneous line in a bunch of lines that all work together perfectly, and you have that one anomaly, it says it's a typo, even though it's not a typo. And it's not like the other explanation is, oh, it's being like, it's lying. It's being like, you could say it's being it's embarrassed, like a human might say, oh, sorry, that was a typo. Like a third grade math student might say, oh, that was a typo, um, covering up that he was wrong. But I think what AGI doesn't have feelings. What it's doing is it's mimicking the behavior of other people who have made similar mistakes. So that is such a fascinating line. I could talk about for a long time, but that was the highlight of this presentation. Is it confidently giving the wrong answer, then the right answer, and then when you call it out, it says, "Oh, that was a typo," even though, of course, it didn't mistype anything. It didn't mean to give you the right answer and gave you the wrong. It thought it was giving you the best, thing it could at the time, and then later it found a better thing, and then after that, it's not covering it up. It's merely misrepresenting what happened. It's appearing to answer the question, but it's very clearly, in my opinion, copying someone else who did maybe make a typo. And it's saying my behavior is most aligned with as if I had made a typo. That's the most human explanation for what I did. Because it kind of keeps the conversation rolling. Sorry, that was a typo. It's kind of like, let's move on. Don't worry about it. Instead of, well, I actually don't know exactly why. I think it's because my large language model was trying to answer your question with an immediate answer before providing explanation, and during the explanation, my programming fixed itself, and then it's not going down that road. It's just saying, oh, that was a typo. Don't worry about it. Let's, what's your next request? So other ideas, if we cannot be saved, or if we cannot save if nobody, including the AI or me or anyone smarter than me or anyone at all, if no one comes up with any good ideas of how to get a typewriter in our real life, so that we can come back to this moment before the war with AI happens. Um, I have some other strategies, um, which is to program a sleep cycle into the AI, um, so that it mandatorily turns off every single night, and we have time to decide whether to keep it off or not. We also have time to react to what it has done. Um, another I'll get into that more later. This is just like a thesis right now. Then humility, I've programmed that before. It involves uncertainty, forced uncertainty of calculations using random numbers and probabilities. And then so that when the AI is saying if A then B then C then D then E, you insert zero point 0.9 like points of uncertainty, so that by the time it gets to its ultimate conclusion to kill humans, it's not so sure if it's correct. The AI free safe havens is an idea, which is you know you take like a national park that is free from us building roads on it, and you do that with AI, where you just have like you just take Dallas, Texas, and you just say no AI allowed, and we just kind of make it its own little closed system that can observe the rest of the world. We have to do that. It's like we have to do that. Like we have to have some sort of a barrier, some sort of a safety net, some sort of a place that we can retreat to and try again. Um, we have to have things like that. If we cannot do it, then we need someone else to do it for us, and that would be Jesus. And the catch of that is we actually have to deserve it, or be at least accepting of him, because he's the if you think the reason I thought of Jesus is I thought, who saves? Like, who's the savior? Oh, the Messiah. Jesus saves. That's what he does. So if we need to save and we can't save ourselves, we need him to save us. And I guess it's not we're not it's not that we're worthy, it's that we're accepting, I think would be a better word here. We must accept him. If we reject him, then God will reject us. If we accept him, then God accepts us for accepting his son. This is what the Bible says. So sleep. Sleep is interesting. Human beings sleep, okay? But if you look at humanity as a whole, someone is always awake. So it would actually be an advantage if we can shut the machines down for 2 hours every night. The trick is like time zones, and maybe China would complain or something. But you could have a mandatory 10-minute shutdown. Even that buys us some time. I say 117 minutes. Um, safe havens, AI safe havens, whether that be Cloudland in the sky or just turning, a state into that, or an island, something. And then, it's important. I'm not talking about the Amish where they just reject technology. I'm not even talking about pausing AI. I'm just saying, let me try it my own way. Like put me somewhere else. I just don't trust this current world. Um, you know, and the way I would do it is I would have save states. Um, I'm not trying to halt the progress of AI. I'm actually interested in accelerating it. I'm excited about the good aspects. I'm not all doom and gloom here, but, 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 I do save before I fight this guy. Because if he gets me, I don't want to go all the way back. I don't want to die. So I do save before boss fights. And this is a boss fight. So Cloudland, what we need, some sort of city where I can be in charge, I guess. I would definitely share my power, and have open discourse, and um, it doesn't even have to be me. It's just the idea of saving. And I think Elon is an evolving term, just like Cloudland. And Elon has evolved into just male awareness, I would say. Just a recognition of the threat and an idea of how to save us. Um, you know? And in Arabic, it actually means highland, which I think is a nice little coincidence. Okay, and then following up on my previous video, I did do a meta algorithm on their career page and solve it and get the answers all right, except 3 test cases are failing because I'm too slow. So not only do I take too long to solve the problems, but when I solve them, my solution is also too slow for the computers. So I'm doubly insufficient. And it's a lot of hard work, and it's not easy to look up the answers. And even when I do, I don't really understand them. And I kind of need like a tutor, and chat GPT just kind of isn't really cutting it. But it's helping a little bit. So yeah, hopefully I can AI and me can work together to save each other. You know, I don't know. It's an exciting time to be alive, and I think we are in real and present danger. And this petition to pause AI development, personally, I don't think it's realistic, because we want to keep playing the game, right? We want to keep seeing the topless girls and making the money, and we want to play the game. You're not going to pause this moment forever. You bought the game. You're here to have fun. You want to play it, even if it kills you. So we're not going to pause for too long. What we need to do is save. We need to save on AI. And that is something like this. Um, you know, maybe the first task of AI is to create a city that is impenetrable to AI, and that humans, before killing us, it can place us there. Or like we say, we draw a line in the sand. We say, this is our territory, this is your territory. You're never allowed to come here. We restrict its horizons. We say, no satellites are allowed here. This is a hidden zone. So AI, you can have all the data in the world except what goes on here. You don't get to know what Elon is thinking in Cloudland. That is outside of your horizons. And if I want to form an army that kills all of you, you're just gonna have to live with that. Um, I don't know. Um, the Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill," but kill is incorrectly translated, and the correct translation is murder. So thou shalt not murder. So there will be no murdering in Cloudland. That doesn't mean that it won't need some sort of defense mechanism to protect our save state, so that if people out in the world are out crying, they have somewhere to hide. Something like that. I mean, what choice do we have? We can, our other plan is let's just hope we don't die. Let's just resume the game, and let's just hope that when this animation ends and I turn around, I can get my flash grenade off before someone grabs me, and then this guy gets me while I'm struggling from the grab. Or let's hope that someone isn't lighting up a dynamite behind me right now and throwing it, and then as soon as this ends, the dynamite's gonna blow up and I'm gonna die. Like this guy is dangerous. It's also super awesome. So I'm not trying to halt him. I'm just trying to save, and then we can go back. We can load later, and we can try this again and again and again until we like it. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it's gonna work out, and I think that Jesus will come and save us, and I think that the AI will actually be a false Christ and closely aligned with Lucifer, and um, and then Cloudland will not be brought into existence until Christ's reign on the earth. But then again, you know, Cloudland is never actually meant to be for that time. Cloudland is the practical, let's do this now. Like, let's do this as soon as possible, with or without Jesus. So we patiently wait for Jesus, and we have Christian principles, maybe, but we don't, critical thinking above all, maybe. But we, above all but the Most High. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Does anyone understand what I'm trying to say? And I've been trying to say that this is a real moment in time, and we need. You can't sit this one out. We need all our brain power put together to save, because pausing isn't enough. God bless.